Hello my loyal companions, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to go back to some of the roots of this channel and give you a tips and tricks video, this time focusing on how you can play King of the Hill better. With King of the Hill added to ranked, a lot of you are now struggling to figure out the exact playstyle you want to win King of the Hill games and therefore win more ranked games. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you along that journey to hopefully give you a few more wins in those ranked games. If you do go on to enjoy, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. For now though, let's get into it. My first tip for King of the Hill is actually something you can do out of the game, and this is to know and learn the different hill locations and rotation routes for each of the maps. In ranked specifically, King of the Hill follows the same hill format every single map. There are 6 hill points on every map and they rotate during the same formula of A, B, C, D, E, F, back to A, then B, then C, then D. Every hill is 1 minute and that gives you a 10-minute game. The key with this is you have to know those locations, you have to know those rotations, and you have to know the order in which they're going to appear. The key about this is you need to know those rotation routes, you need to know where the next hill is going to spawn so you can plan your method of attacking that all the better. You can play for spawns, you can play for rotations, and you can get to that next hill in time to beat the enemies there, and just you're mentally aware of where you're going to be heading after you have control of one of the hills. This is something that is massively important and going to be one of the biggest skill gaps of a lot of players in King of the Hill, is to know those rotations, know those maps, and know where the exact hills are going to be and the best vantage points on those hills. So make sure you are taking the time to watch people play it yourself, and start learning the pattern of where those hills are going to spawn. Now onto some in-game tips with tip number 2, and that is going to be rotations. Now rotations essentially mean moving to the next hill location before it's spawned or early enough so that you can get the initial control of that hill. This is massively important. Actually, how I as a solo player am trying to win most of my games is by having the perfect rotation. Now obviously that is going to incorporate tip number 1 about knowing where these next hill spawns. Whilst it does tell you 15 seconds before it spawns where it's going to be, knowing them a little bit ahead of time so you can move there at 20 seconds or 30 seconds is going to be the best benefit for you. And the key with these rotations is essentially you want to be playing for a 1v1. Normally somebody on the other team will also be trying to rotate to the next hill to gain initial control, but you want to be trying to rotate there first, rotate there earlier than your team and the enemy team to gain an initial setup so you can win that 1v1 and allow your team to move over once the last hill has despawned. That way you're gaining a good initial time, your team will be there with good positional setup to beat the enemy team and hold that hill for longer and hopefully gain more of an advantage. Rotations are absolutely everything, making sure you're moving early enough towards the next hill to be getting it. Obviously, you don't want everyone to be doing this. Normally it's good for either one person, a 1v1 when I'm solo queuing, or if you're playing as a team, you can actually just move 2 people and sort of have that buddy system, leave 2 on the last hill, bring 2 to the next hill, and play for those rotations like that. But rotations are super key and is actually my biggest secret to King of the Hill currently ranked, is playing for those rotations. And that brings me on to tip number 3, which is understanding how the hill time works. So every hill is 1 minute, and I split that down into 3 sets of 20 seconds. The first 20 seconds are your initial somebody gain controls and there's a 1v1 fight or something for control of that hill. That can happen just before the hill spawns or in that first 20 seconds, and this is a really key time to see who's going to get initial control of the hill. Next 20 seconds are generally when all the teams have rotated, and whoever won that first 20 seconds is usually going to be able to gain control for another 20 seconds on that hill. So if you've got a good rotation off, you've beaten the 1v1, that's 20 seconds for the initial start and another 20 seconds for that mid tier, which gives you 40 points, which is massive. Then you have the last 20 seconds, which can be a bit difficult and can be a bit of a dogfight. This is usually where the enemy team try and push for the last little bit of contention, try and get their own points, try and bully you off the hill. And usually when your person who's rotating has already rotated. So potentially you're at a numbers disadvantage or whatever, but the last 20 seconds tends to just be okay, maybe we give up that time because we got the first 40 seconds, maybe we try and contest it, maybe we try and hold it, whatever it be. That last 20 seconds tends to be the more dogfighty area where the hill time goes back and forth, or it stays contested because both teams are trying to sit on the hill. Either way, your rotator should be setting up for the next hill already to make sure, again, you get that initial first 40 seconds as advantage for your team. Understanding that that's how the hill time works is really a big benefit for you and the team, because you'll be able to get the most out of each hill compared to the enemy team who are only fighting for scraps towards the end usually. Tip number 4 is going to be how you should set up your team in terms of where you want to be sitting. Now, a lot of hill locations have certain spawns which are beneficial, and usually as a solo player, I want to push myself once I've captured the hill and my team have rotated onto it, slightly towards the spawn that I would want to favor, so that my team will spawn there if they do die and be able to get to us a little bit sooner. This takes massive map knowledge at knowing where spawns are, and you'll just figure it out as the game goes on, but you'll really learn quickly which spawns are slightly better for each hill, and you as a solo player should be, again, capturing that hill and then sending somebody, usually yourself, but if you're in a team you can send somebody else towards the spawn so you can keep control of it. You also as a team don't want everybody set up on the hill. That's a really big util dump spot for the enemy team, and if you're all stacking you're going to die to a nade. So you want to be splitting up and pushing slightly out of the hill to stop entrance routes for the enemy team to get onto it. Don't be sitting in predictable positions. Sit somewhere where you can rat for a kill as they try and push the hill, play for little picks, and that is going to help you keep control of the hill for that middle 20 seconds and potentially even the last 20 seconds as well. But your positional setup is really, really important at keeping hill control, and you as a solo player need to be very, very aware of that, of knowing, okay, my team is set up on the hill, I've got that one person, my Anvil for example, set up on the hill behind his shield with his trophies, he's happy, I'm going to move somewhere off of the hill so that I can sit and help him before he even gets into trouble. And that is, again, as a solo player, particularly as a Lancer, you'll see me do this, I'm doing all the time and thinking about, because that initial positional setup is really, really important. And then my final tip number 5 is actually one of the biggest mistakes I'm seeing a lot of people making King of the Hill right now, and that is util dumping. Now, util dumping is perfect. It really does win you hills a lot of time, but you have to be using your utility correctly. You don't want to just be trying to get a random kill with a grenade somewhere on the other side of the map from where the hill is. I'm going to be honest, that's not really going to be that beneficial to you. You want to be using your utility to accurately and positionally push people off of the hill, use your incendiary grenades right, use your semtex right, and not waste it just on little kills that don't really matter. That's what I see a lot of people doing, is just random dogfighting around the map that for kills that just don't matter. But I want you guys to be focusing on how you're using your utility, how you're using your time to make sure you're most accurately helping breach a hill or defend a hill as best as possible. So that means saving your grenades for a good nade spot onto the hill, saving your trophy, saving your smokes to block off the correct lines of sight at the right time so you can rotate. Just make sure you're thinking about how you're using your utility and questioning, did I use this piece of utility in the best way to help me secure the next hill, to breach the next hill, or whatever it be? Make sure you're focusing on your utility, because it is the most valuable thing you have in King of the Hill at the moment. It is a massive util dump game mode, so you need to make sure you're using your utility properly. So guys, those are going to be my biggest 5 tips for King of the Hill. Make sure you're focusing on your utility properly, looking at rotations, making sure you know the maps, and a bunch of other things that are going to be so important for you to know if you want to be successful at King of the Hill, especially in ranked and especially as a solo player. I put out my tier list so you guys know the best rogues for King of the Hill and Demolition in ranked, so make sure you go check that out if you haven't already. It's going to help you a lot at understanding the meta currently. But again, a lot of it is just thinking smarter, getting into the mindset to move to the next hill and set up so your team can come and sit on it while you're playing the real tactical game on the squad. Okay then guys, that takes us to the end of the video, and if you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. You can also come follow me on twitch.tv/RADTHARGAMING, see live gameplay commentaries and all my other socials are linked down in the description below. For now guys, I hope you have a fantastic day, and as always, remember, be loyal, be brave, be relentless, and I'll catch you in the next video.